Hello, crafty friends. Today we're here making a really simple Valentine's Day card. So let's go and get into it. So I'm starting with a 4 1/4 by a 5 1/2 top folding note card. And I have a Kraft cardstock panel cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And this is where I'm going to start my background stamp. So to ensure my background stamp is completely even and straight, I'm going to use my Misty. And this chocolate candy stamp, it's a background stamp from Hero Arts. And I'm going to use my Alta New Espresso ink to ink up that background stamp. I'm going to get it good and covered. And then using the Misty, it keeps everything straight and I can apply more pressure as needed. If you don't have a stamp positioner, I highly suggest getting one. It makes it super easy for these background stamps. I'm using the Misty Mini, and there are different sizes you can get from different companies, but I really enjoy using this one. After applying the pressure, look at how well that turned out for that background. I only had to do it one time. So now I'm going to take my envelope punch and I am actually cutting my corners to round them. If you have a crocodile or a corner round punch, you can use that, but I don't have one of those, so I just use my envelope punch to round my corners, and this is going to give a really nice finished look. And I'm also going to go ahead and round the corners of my card base after rounding the corners of my card panel. That way it makes it really cohesive. And I'm going to glue this panel down onto the card base. I use a thin layer of a liquid glue that I get from Amazon. It's a crazy art glue. It's permanent, and I use it so I have a little bit of time to wiggle in between to get it straight if I need to. And now I'm going to be laying this down onto my card panel so that it can adhere. And then I'm going to start the next step with our beautiful little lacy hearts. Using a plain sheet of thick cardstock, I'm going to take the Stampin' Up! Heartfelt stamp set, and I'm going to be stamping that lacy heart that you see there to the left, and I'm going to stamp it in Alta New Heartbeat ink, and I'll also use Alta New Pink Pearl ink for this stamp today. So let's start with the Heartfelt ink from Alta New. I'm going to ink up this stamp. I'm going to press down on it. And then I'm going to, without inking it back up, I'm going to go ahead and stamp again to get the residue off. And this creates a really light heart for me. And next I'm going to go in on top of that really light heart and use the Pink Pearl ink from Alta New to try to get it a slight bit darker. I'm going to redo this process with the Pink Pearl heart first. And then after I stamp this Pink Pearl heart, I'm going to go back in without cleaning my stamp. I'm going to use the Alta New Heartbeat ink to get the other red heart. adding in an extra heart because I like to do that. I know how I am when I craft, and sometimes I tend to mess up. So I'm going in to add extra hearts just to be on the safe side. First, I'm going to use the Stampin' Up! Plain heart punch. And as I go to punch, you're going to notice that it does not leave enough room for the scallops. I have a different punch for that, but I'm going to go ahead and punch out the inside of the heart first. And then I'm going to go and get the lighter colors using the pink pearl ink hearts. And I'm going to use the scalloped punch. And right here you see me, if you have to cut your paper in order to do the punch, I am just taking a strip of paper, gluing it on the back to make a sort of handle. This helps me to be able to guide it so that way I know I can get it in there straight and I can kind of have more control of it as I'm starting to punch it. So here I'm adding in the heart scalloped punch. That way it will cut out the scallops as well. And if you haven't ever created a little handle like this, I strongly suggest doing it because it keeps the control on the image that you need to have punched without the paper sliding down, especially in these punches where it's covering the whole piece of paper that you have. And the good thing is after you finish using the punch and the handle, you can easily take it off and just use it as another handle, or you can use it again for a sentiment. Now I'm going to take my bright red heartbeat heart and I'm going to put a small round foam dimensional tape in the middle of the light pink heart, the pink pearl. And then I'm going to place the heart, the red one, on top of the pink so that the pink scallops still show, but the red lacy part is the one that's viewed first. Look how darling this turns out. So I'm going to do another heart to put on my card, and it looks so cute. I love it. I'll just repeat the same process that I did with the first heart. I'm going to punch these out and then using the round foam dimensional tape, I'm going to adhere another heart on top of the other so that you can see the scallops from the bottom and then the solid heart lacy part from the top. Now that my hearts are complete, I'm going to do a sentiment strip, and I'm going to be adding just a little pink sentiment strip at the bottom, but I wanted to kind of start figuring out my layout, how I want it to go. And then you see me playing around with the 3, but after the fact of playing around with the 3 and the sentiment strip, I felt like it was just a little bit too busy with the candy behind. So I decided ultimately to just stick with 2 of the hearts and the sentiment strip. Now that I have my placement of where I really want my hearts to go and I have an idea of where I want my sentiment to go, I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to try to adhere the hearts down to the card. using Alta New Espresso ink and the stamp from the Heartfelt stamp set from Stampin' Up. I'm going to ink up that stamp and then stamp it right there on that pink. And then I noticed I got a little too far over, so I was trying to figure out a way to correct it. And before starting my punch, I'm going to be using the scallop edge punch from Stampin' Up to give a little scallop look on it. And I'm going to cut it through. This is a great punch if you want to cut a complete scallop, but here I'm just doing one on each end. I'm just kind of guiding it inside on the back. I like to look at it from the back first before punching. That way I know I've got it in the right position. I'm going to now get ready to ink up a plain strip of cardstock paper using the Alta New Heartbeat ink. And I'm just gently rubbing the ink pad over the cardstock and just trying to get a little bit of color here and there. You're going to see a little bit of light, a little bit darker area, but that's okay. It gives me the different colored hearts. Now taking the Stampin' Up heart punch, I'm going to just put that piece inside of the punch, and then I'm going to punch it all out. And then I'm going to have these different size hearts, and some are going to be lighter, some are going to be a little bit darker, and it gives me exactly what I need for this card. And I'm actually going to be using these little hearts as embellishments. After punching out the red hearts, now I'm going to go on the back side of this same strip, and I'm going to ink it up using the pink pearl ink from Alta New, and I'm going to go ahead and punch that part out as well, and that gives me a beautiful assortment of light and dark hearts that I can use. Some actually turn out almost white, a super light pink, and it's just going to be gorgeous as I use it to put these on as an embellishment. Taking the hearts, I'm going to put glue on them, and then I'm going to place these directly in the middle of the card, and I'm going to kind of turn them a little slanted so that way both of the hearts can fit on the front of the card. And I'm going to merge it to where the scallops of the red heart, so that the red heart will be the top overlapping heart. I'm going to kind of merge it too and put the glue on it and adhere it. I didn't want to add any more dimension since I already have a little bit of dimension, so I just opted to glue this instead. If you love tons of dimension, go ahead and feel free to put this up on dimensional tape as well, but I felt like with the top heart already having the dimensional piece, it just looked fine to me. Since the sentiment is just one strip of cardstock and it's a thinner cardstock, I go ahead and I add a small thin strip of foam dimensional tape to put on the back, and then I get the sentiment ready to be able to put it directly under the hearts. To complete the card, I'm going to be taking some of those hearts from that little stash I've got going on there. I'm going to take some of the light, some of the bright red, and I'm just going to splatter those kind of throughout the card just like you would any typical embellishment, just to add a little bit more interest to it. And that's how I'm going to complete the card, and it turned out so cute. And if you don't have this Stampin' Up punch, small heart punch, if you have a small heart punch from a different company, use that. Or if you don't have a heart punch, maybe if you have one that does heart dies, you can use that. Or possibly if you have just heart embellishments, you don't need to buy anything new for it. But it completes this card. I loved how it turned out. I really loved how simple it was. And I'm just going to reinforce my edge with my bone folder. This turned out to be such a cute, easy, fast card to make, and I would love to see your take on it. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me. I really appreciate it, and let me know what you create. Happy crafting!